Good morning, councillors. Oh, look at that. Have we got enough? Yes, we're good, thank you, Mr. O'Reilly. I'd like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting on the 2nd of December. I declare this meeting open at 10:01 a.m. I'd like to advise the attendees in the room that this meeting will be webcast and audio recorded. We're leaves of absence now, don't we? So we've got 3 leaves of absence today. We'll see a motion on the board that a leave of absence be granted to Councillor Fraser in accordance with section 5.3 of the Local Government Committee Meeting Code for medical leave. Moved by Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Murphy. All those in favour? That has been passed. We move to our second leave of absence for Councillor Jeremiah. Mover in Councillor Hall. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Murphy. All those in favour? That has been carried. A third for Councillor Wilcox for personal leave. A mover in Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Murphy. All those in favour? That has been carried. Have received a message that Councillor Bradley is running late. Councillor Bannon is an apology. He's got some emergency upcoming medical stuff that's come up over the last few days. So wish you well with that, mate. Hope it goes all well. We'll move on to our confirmation of previous committee meetings minutes. There is now a motion displayed on the screen to confirm the previous minutes. The minutes from the infrastructure meeting held on the 4th of November 2025 be confirmed. Do I have a mover for the motion on the screen? Councillor Jackson, seconder. Councillor Stemp. All those in favour? That has been carried. Conflicts of interest? We're flying. Declarations of conflict of interest. I refer to declarations of conflicts of interest. Do any councillors wish to declare a conflict of interest today? No, there being none, we'll move on. Where are we at to? 6.1? So we'll start with 6.1. It's a confidential report from SEQ Water regarding the Warralong Interconnector Pipeline briefing. Who have we got? This bit. Yeah, I note that item 6.1 is a confidential report. A proposed resolution to move this matter is displayed on the screen. Do any councillors wish to move into a closed session for this item? Mayor Raven? Do we need a seconder? Yeah, second. Councillor Stemp. All those in favour? It's been carried by everyone except Councillor Hall. Thank you. Please be advised that the meeting is now in a closed... Where's the notes for that? Up there. We now move a motion that the confidential PowerPoint as presented to the meeting in relation to item 6.1 of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 2nd of December 2025 be tabled. Moved by Councillor Murphy, second by Councillor Hall. All those in favour? That has been carried. Now, see if there's any general business for Executive General. Oh, we need to vote on the motion. I'm getting ahead of myself. My apologies. There's a motion displayed on the board. I'll give you a second to have a read through that. We have a mover. Councillor Hall, second by Councillor Jackson. All those in favour? That's been carried. Cool. Now, does anyone have any general business for Executive General Manager of Logan Water, Mr. Gerard? He's gone. So if you got general business...
His computer is still there, so I think he maybe just...
He's left his avatar running on the computer, so any general business, let's direct it that way. Any general business for Paul?
No, 2 more reports.
Oh, he's got 2 more reports. We now move to report 6.2, Capital Roadworks and Drainage Program Quarterly Report from July to September 2025. This is a public report, and I'll hand over to Mr. Paul Wilson.
Thank you, through the Chair. So the purpose of this report is to advise of Council's Roadworks and Drainage Program delivery status for the July to September quarter of the 25-26 financial year. During the first quarter of the financial year, key construction projects have progressed considerably across multiple fronts, particularly on the basis of previous delays with heavy rain. The Capital Roadworks Drainage Program is currently ahead of schedule as a result of the work and activity that's going on, with a first quarter financial performance of 37 million in delivery works against a targeted delivery of 24.5 million. The 25-26 financial year is expected to see several key projects to reach completion phases. A review of the project delivery programming was undertaken to look at the forecast for the financial year. The forecast took into consideration key risks known at the time and allowances for wet weather impacts. We will still see our end of financial year budget just under 149 million at this point in time. Planning, procurement and delivery for additional projects for the 25-26 and 26-27 programs are progressing, with several key projects continuing construction this quarter. Further projects are advancing through design finalisation, pre-construction planning and quotation stages. I therefore recommend that this report, Capital Roadworks Drainage Quarterly Report July to September, be noted.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at the list in attachment 1, and noting Kingston Road on there as a state-controlled road for some footpath rehabs in a number of divisions. What services do we provide on a state road in terms of rehab, either road, pathways, curb and channel, all of that, and who pays for that?
So any works within a state-controlled road are funded by state projects. These are probably interface projects that we've got with footpath rehab that are on the junction. They might be called Kingston Road, but I believe they're actually on the junction on the council side of the alignments. Yep.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So on declared TMR roads, We are responsible for concrete footpath, so that would sit with council, so that they don't have a responsibility for, I guess, that pedestrian access component to that. And some of the sections of Kingston Road also have service roads attached to those, so if there is an area of service road, that is also vested with council. There's effectively a document that talks about shared responsibilities in those corridors, so if we were talking south of, say, Station Road on Kingston Road, where there's a service road running in front of the housing there, that service road would actually be with council as well.
So it's just concrete footpaths that we would do repairs on, or curb and channel, trees?
Curb and channel we typically wouldn't. There is a responsibilities documentation which TMR run with, so they would like to suggest that if there's areas of significant parking and the curb and channels beyond that parking where it's not actually in the through lanes, that they would like us to be responsible for that. I don't believe we've reached an agreement in that position.
Okay, but they fund it. They pay us to do those footpaths.
No, the
No.
footpath network is with us, the service roads would be with us at our cost.
Okay.
Councillor Stamp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. Well, just clarifying, pavement rehabilitation, that's the same as road resurfacing. Is that correct? Yeah, just wanted to check terminology. So can I just get an update on Woodaroo Road in Cornubia when you get a moment, just to see where that's landing? I had a feeling it was being done in this financial year, and I still report potholes galore after every rain event. And it'd be just great to give the community an update on that one, if that would be all right. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Stamp. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, through the chair, and you're doing a great job today. Daryl and Paul, could I please just get a wrap-up briefing for the Kelly Street catchment? Just to finalise that out, I believe that's coming to an end very shortly. Just want to make sure that we've addressed any concerns, especially those people in Roebuck Street in Eagleby. There's one particular gentleman that had a lot of issues through the rain events with the changeover of the companies, but he's still having increased flooding through his property because the drains aren't working properly. And I'm sure Eagleby will be very pleased when all the master drainage is completed and the last park, Bradley Park, is completed. But I just want to wrap that up. Thank the team that have been very understanding and helped me out with a lot of concerned residents through that time. So if I could get just a wrap up and when the date would be completed that we're out, that would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, through the chair. I've got two questions, if I may. I just want to ask the council officers, are they noticing as time goes on with the increased cost of everything that less roads are actually being done, less pavement rehabilitation, etc., curb and channelling, with the cost of everything rising?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I don't know that we've done specific analysis on the quantum of work, but it would be reasonable to say that in the last 3 to 4 years, there's been significant escalation in the cost of construction activities, both materials and works. So it stands to reason that that would be having an impact on the overall quantum effectively because of that increase in cost.
Yeah. I'd be curious about that, and the reason it came to my attention is there's only 3 Division 1 for curb and channelling and pavement rehabilitation, and I remember always writing to residents telling them this is coming up, and there would be at least 12 streets that would be listed. So I would appreciate that information, if I may. My second question relates to Underwood Road. Does that happen to be...
Sorry, Councillor Bradley. Mr. Riley just...
Sorry, can I talk to that? The other
Yeah,
statement
sure.
in regards to the 3. So just to give some context around that, The list of works that's actually listed in the program is for the quarter. So we actually list the works that we actually do in each of those areas over the 3 quarters. What that means, because of the way we package the work, we try to keep the streets that we do reasonably close together.
Yep.
One of our big costs is actually putting plant onto floats and actually moving that significant distance. So if we have to move profilers, if we have to move asphalt pavers along distance, we incur many thousands of dollars every time
Yep.
we do that, potentially tens. So when we bring up those quarterly reports, it means that there is a reasonable chance that there will be less concentration in one area in that quarter, or potentially more concentration in
Thank you.
another area. But that's more about us trying to be more efficient in regards to how we actually do the work.
I appreciate that rationale,
Yep.
thank you. Can I just ask, so my last question is in relation to Underwood Road. Is that section that it adjoins Brisbane that's being done?
Through the chair, I'll have to confirm that for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much. Through you, Mr Chair. Great report, really appreciate it. Division 2 seems to be getting a few good outcomes, so I'm grateful for that. I would like an update on Ashton Street. So in 2021, I raised the issue of Ashton Street between Brighton Street down to Jacaranda Avenue and the fact that the roads are falling apart along there. We didn't get upgrades. What we got was a bit of patching and they fell out pretty quickly. But we did get the other end from Barden Road down to Stock Street done, which, as a person who drove that street, they were quite confused by that. They're waiting for the second section of Ashton Street. I'm just wondering whether you can advise when number 52 down to number 6 will be completed, because it's not on this list for this year, and yet the road continues to crumble and fall apart. Potholes and rim damage are occurring, and residents are getting a little bit grumpy at it.
And through the chair, yep, I'll give you an update via email as soon as I can.
Thanks very much. The second part is in relation to Railway Parade. We were hoping that Railway Parade would see a massive upgrade with the Faster Rail project, and the amendments to the Faster Rail project, as in the fact that they are raising the train station, not digging down now, means that Railway Parade will not have refurbishment done on it. I'm wondering whether I can get an update on when that will then be put onto the list to be prioritised. Railway Parade has multiple water and hydrants along the road, and it falls and fails quite frequently. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to give me an update on when you can fast track Railway Parade as part of that process. Thank you.
Any more questions? No. There's now a motion displayed on the board. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Murphy, seconder. Councillor Jackson. All those in favour? Thank you. That's been carried unanimously. So we go late reports now, don't we? So we've got one late report, report 7.1, Bethania to Logan Village Rail Trail staging. This is a public report, and I'll hand back over to Mr. Paul Wilson.
Thank you, Mr Chair. This report is to brief council on the opportunity to progress a staged approach to the delivery of the Bethania to Logan Village Rail Trail, following advice that council received from the Department of Transport that we would not be successful in receiving additional funding. So as discussed in our last time, we gave an update in September 24. We actually wrote to the Department of Transport advising the detailed design of the rail trail was complete and that the project would cost $15.5 million. Council requested the state government to maintain its 50-50 funding commitment for the project, increasing its funding commitment by $4.2 million to $7.5. TMR did respond, advising that additional funding for the Bethania Rail Trail would not be available through the Rail Trail Local Government Grant Program, but they would continue to support the delivery of the project with the initial funding allocation of $3.55 million. Council went through a few other alternate options to actually work out how we can actually work through some funding. We did subsequently engage with TMR South Coast District, highlighting the opportunity to achieve both principal cycle route outcomes via the rail trail through a joint collaboration and funding arrangement. The TMR South Coast considered this proposal from council, but ultimately advised that while they can see merit in the single infrastructure provision to achieve dual outcomes, they were unable to assist with funding at this time. This therefore sees the commitment for the funding of the rail trail from Bethania to Logan Village to be $3.5 million from TMR through the Rail Trail Local Government Grant Program and $7.79 million through Council's Cycleway Infrastructure Program, totalling $11.29 million. Unfortunately, the $11.29 million will not fund the entire length of the project, which is 11.5 kilometres. We looked at opportunities that would arise with the staging of the project, with the first stage being from Easterly Street in Woodford South to Logan Village, able to be delivered from those available funds of $11.29 million. The delivery of this stage of project would actually provide benefit. I've given you a full list. I'll just grab a couple snapshots of a couple. That obviously this critical portion of the rail trail is to create an active transport connection between the developed areas of Waterford and Logan Village. This will benefit both recreational and commuter users. The rail trail will connect to the previously delivered Yarra-Bilba rail trail, providing an active transport corridor from Yarra-Bilba to Waterford via Logan Village. And then while a rail trail standard of connection will not provide through Waterford to Bethania as part of stage one, there is existing footpath being built within the areas that will achieve a level of connection to important nodes such as the Bethania Rail Trail and community facilities. In contrast, most of the area south of Easterly Street along the existing rail corridor has no active transport infrastructure. The staged delivery of the Bethania to Logan Village Rail Trail is appropriate given the funding limitations and the benefit which will still accrue by the Logan community through provision of stage one. With the available funding, council will be able to deliver the rail trail from Easterly Street to Logan Village as per attachment 2 in the report. Just as note, council is also progressing the construction of Easterly and High Road upgrades, which are being funded through federal grant funding. With both projects occurring in a similar time frame, it will be feasible to create a well-interconnected connection at the northern end of the rail trail. I'll take any questions.
Councillor Stent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. Look, I mean, I've did a bit more research into this project, and I've got some concerns in terms of the various ends, I guess. The end that connects to Logan Village appears to be more for recreation, whereas the end which basically links to the train station is more for commuter. And there appears to be schools, et cetera, at that end, which would benefit commuters as opposed to just recreation. So from my understanding, there isn't really a safe link between Bethania Station and those destinations. Like you mentioned there's another footpath being built, did you say, currently?
Yeah, so along Eastleigh and High Street in front of the Canterbury College, there will be a 3 metre wide footpath, shared footpath along the whole frontage of the school.
And where does that go to and from?
That will actually start at the rail trail head at Old Logan Village Road.
Yes.
Along the southern edge of the Canterbury College School, and then up the eastern side to, I think it's the second car park entry point where the existing footpath network starts.
But there's still that gap between there and the station, though. Is there? Yeah, can I just get that understanding of?
So there is existing concrete footpath north of that on High Street, which continues up to Kingston Road, and then there is existing concrete footpath which runs there through there to the Bethania station. So there is concrete footpath through there. What there isn't is probably that higher standard connection which we would see in a rail trail, where we'd be expecting that more to be in that 2.5 to 3 metre wide connection. So there is off-road facility where you can actually ride through there. it's probably not desirable from a commuter sense if you were on a bike where you're trying to ride at a higher speed, but they would typically be on road. It's not probably our desired connection through there. It was why we were trying to utilise the existing corridor all the way through to the Bethania station. The corridor is still there, but it is the area which runs through between the two aged care resorts, or aged care is not the right word, sorry.
Over 50s, Mr. Riley.
And I need
The
to be
residents
careful
of Palm Lakes will hunt you down for
Yes.
classing them as an aged care facility.
And I'm in the over 50s category, so I will apologise for that, yes. But there is capacity there for that connection. It's probably just not to the standard that we would like, whereas south of Easterly, there isn't any facility at this point in time. It's also the area that has most of the creek crossings associated with it, so the older bridges where we need to actually divert around those. So it achieves a significant part of that spine, but does connect to that rail trail in Logan Village that connects through to Yarrabilba. I think in the report it also highlights that there has been planning work looked at previously around potential for the rail trail to extend from Logan Village to Jimboomba, and I know that Beaudesert's been working on the rail trail coming back the other way from Beaudesert CBD back out of Beaudesert, back up the same corridor.
Right, I mean, to me, this seemed like an opportunity for, people to be able to get off the train and I mean, I understand they've got to cross roads, like the kids aren't going to be able to ride a bike potentially and having to cross roads is my understanding from the station, are they?
The road crossings in there are actually at signals, so they would have pedestrian crossings facilitating that. Yep.
And I guess, have we explored a simplified delivery model, which would effectively, like for example, prioritising safety, surface and continuity first, and then maybe embellishing later? Because the concern to me is you've still got to have attractions and things along. I mean, the understanding of these rail trails is they've got to have attractions and things along them. And if it's piecemeal, I'm not sure it's going to even, I'm worried it's not going to have the desired effect of what we're trying to achieve here.
By staging it this way, Councillor Stemp, you get that full connection from the railway all the way through to the existing section that's already built between Logan Village and Yarrabilba there at the moment. If we were to reverse that, we're going to have small segments that are actually effectively nearly unusable because of that lack of connection. So there's a $4 million upgrade happening around Eastleigh Street, Old Logan Village Road and High Street, which will ensure that footpath connection's there, and which will enable that safe ability to be able to transport down there, rather than have a section, then a section of nothing, then another section. They become effectively null and void, in my opinion, there, if we do that.
But if we simplify the delivery, I mean, is there an option to not embellish it as much? And I'm just asking, is it better to get the whole thing and not make it as splashes and then embellish it further later? I'm just trying to understand that.
We did a significant amount of work in the past before we actually came back to council last time to actually do that. So the areas that we're talking about now, south of Easterly, there is a small section which is sealed down to Dairy Creek. From Dairy Creek south is a gravel surface. So we are looking to keep that as basic as we can. Most of the embellishment work that we did need to do previously was in association with the Palm Lake Resorts. So there was a lot of fencing associated with that, screening and how we actually facilitate those outcomes. By delivering this stage south of Easterly, will leave some more opportunity for TMR to have discussions with Palm Lake around that land tenure in there and the way that actually works. We have tried to do the heavy lifting in that area previously. We've spent a lot of time engaging with Palm Lakes, but that land tenure is not yet resolved, so it provides us an opportunity, I guess, to invite TMR back to the table to have further discussions around that.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just two more quick ones, if that's all right. So pretty much we've explored other funding options. Like there was some active transport funding, I believe, through TMR. That wasn't available for this?
I've racked my brain as much as I can. We've
There
certainly...
was something in that
Yeah.
space. There was quite a bit of money, I thought, from in that space available.
We have written to TMR, we've tried different aspects with TMR, we've looked
Okay.
for other funding opportunities as well. It's why it's taken us so long to come back to council, in
Sure.
that we've been trying to, I guess, pursue every option that we could find to try and secure that. At this point, we have not been able to find another external funding source. I'm not saying that we won't continue to look for that, we certainly will. I think it would be reasonable to say TMR have not said never,
No.
they've said
Not now.
not now.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why we've brought back the staged approach, in that we can actually build that section at the southern end, which we will get benefit from. It does have a connection to the existing concrete footpath
Okay.
network at the northern end, which doesn't provide that same level of service, but at least has a level of service attached to it. It doesn't end up creating an isolated piece of infrastructure which can't be connected into the overall grid.
Yeah, I guess just worried that that area, that extra piece will never happen if we don't get that additional funding. I mean, is there funding available through council for the future? Like, is it something we're exploring?
Council has its own bicycle network, but
Yeah.
it also has the ability to consider where it would put the next portion if it was
Okay.
to extend the rail trail, whether the bigger benefit is in that northern end, or whether it might be to extend further towards Jimboomba. To some extent, that may become more apparent after we build stage one as well, around where we perceive that benefit is. Once we actually see users of the facility, and I think the types of things that you're talking about, if we could say compare it to the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, it's probably been local businesses in some of those smaller townships that have actually benefited from, or then actually come forward to support that. So I personally am probably interested to see what recreational benefit comes from that, saying to Logan Village and the likes, where people may choose to use that as a turning point for a recreational point.
Yeah. And have any bicycle user groups been consulted about this plan?
The Bug has been definitely
Okay.
part of the discussion on this. They've been a very strong advocate. They've been out and actually walked a lot of it,
Okay.
had video, definitely had input into the planning that we did for
This
that.
latest decision, though, or not as such? Are they aware?
They
you know,
have continued
for
to
the
lobby us to deliver in this space. My take would be that they would be far keener for us to see a stage delivery than not provide anything.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Stamp. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, keen for this staged approach just to get some stuff on the ground. I'm assuming that every delay means we either need to find more revenue or reduce scope even more. So the quicker it gets done, the better in my mind. And we get the corridor in. It's significant enough for it to be a destination, I think, as opposed to the Yarrabilba to Logan Village bit. And as you say, it starts really measuring, giving us some measurables on it as an attraction. So good job finding resourceful solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, through the chair. I suppose what has come to light is why previous councils didn't support this trail, because it would cost our council dearly, and that's effectively what it is in front of us today. I would have liked that this, I don't really like workshops, but to me this would have been a better option to bring it to a workshop. I think there's an opportunity that the Mayor could write to the Minister, that we could look at other avenues for funding and not just rely on ratepayers to fund 3/4 of a project, because once you start that precedent, I can tell you TMR will keep that up. They took away the funding for the landscaping, they'll only offer 25% from here on in. I can't support this today purely for that reason.
Councillor Hall.
Yeah, look, I've been back and forwards on the rail trail for a while. I remain open for suggestion on which way to lean on this. I'm starting to prefer that it just be called the Logan Village Rail Trail, because it doesn't seem to go all the way up through Bethania. It stops at a certain point and becomes a footpath. That's not a rail trail, that's a footpath. To say that there's no more funding to complete it to where it needs to go, I think it's not right. If it's going to be the Bethania to Logan Village Rail Trail, then it should go through Bethania, as the name suggests. Otherwise, we just call it the Logan Village Rail Trail. I'm really upset that it does just go to a footpath, because if that was the requirement of the rail trail for it to just go to a footpath, then I would have preferred that went completely around the Palm Lakes Retirement Village on a footpath, because they've been told that this is something that must happen. It must happen. It's so important to the community, and the fact is, it's not even going to be completed all the way up to where it was intended to go. So how are we going to go back to them and say, well, look, we've got to run it through your backyard, but we're not going to complete it to its destination point to where it should have went? It's just really
Councillor
unfair.
Hall. I think you're possibly missing the staged word in there completely, that it's staged. As the local councillor for the Palm Lakes Resort, I've been with the communication from the team in constant contact with their homeowners. So a staged approach is exactly that. That, you know, it's the job's not done effectively. We're going to stage it. We're going to be able to fire up something for the community to get benefit out of.
Even if it is staged, where's the money to complete it?
If I can talk to that, Mr. Chair. So at this stage with Palm Lakes, we wouldn't be building a concrete footpath to a lower standard through the corridor behind Palm Lakes. When we're saying that there's concrete footpath, that is existing concrete footpath, which, as you suggested, actually goes around that Palm Lakes area and is already in place. So that would only be an interim connection. We wouldn't be building something within that corridor that runs between the two Palm Lake resorts to a substandard at this stage. We would be holding to the point that that needs to be built to the appropriate standard, and we would continue to engage with the state for further funding under their local government rail trail program. I can't commit to when they will provide that to us, but that would continue to be a lobby from council for us to be able to finish out that stage to the appropriate standard, as you say.
So you're saying with this current design, it's not going to go through Palm Lakes? No?
With the staging, if we've split it into two stages, the first stage would be from Easterly Street south, which would be built at this stage. The second stage to this, which would have to be a future project, which we would continue to request funding for, would be from that area north of Easterly Street, where it runs between Palm Lakes and then connects through to Bethania. So we would not run through a substandard connection through that point. We would hold that stage till it is actually agreed to and funded at an appropriate level.
Thank you.
Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, and thanks for bringing this report forward. So, on the 3rd of September 2024, the detailed design and costing for the Bethania to Logan Village Rail Trail was presented to Logan City Council Infrastructure Committee. It was anticipated cost of $15.5 million. We put out that the project was co-funded 50-50 by the City of Logan and the State of Queensland through Department of Transport and Main Roads. So that was at that time. Now we're being told that the state's pulled back on their commitment. Is that correct?
At the time of the report, we asked council to commit to us going to the state to ask for them to increase their funding to be 50-50 of the $15 million.
Thank you, Director.
So it wasn't with us that they had agreed at that point. It was that council endorsed us to go and request for them to do that, which is where we've been, and trying to pursue what mechanisms we could find to achieve that outcome for council.
So Rail Trails Australia got it wrong when they said that we had a 50-50 agreement as part of our media release that occurred after that.
Rail Trails.
I'm looking at the release right now.
Press release.
I'm not aware of the press release, so I can't comment on that, sorry.
Yeah, posted on the 18th of the 9th,
with
2024.
their original allocation to us, it was on the basis of a 50-50 allocation. When we did that, when the report came in February, it highlighted that the whole of the rail trail couldn't be constructed for the value that had previously been anticipated. Council instructed us to go back to the state government and ask them to increase their funding, so they maintained that 50-50 commitment. At this stage, they've indicated that they won't.
No worries. So it's an 11.5 kilometre rail trail. Is that right? 11.5? You got that, Paul? Yep, that's good. So the City of Torrens managed to do a 5.7 kilometre extension to their rail trail for $5.7 million. And it was interesting that ours is coming in at $1 million above. On multiple occasions, I've asked the question of the bridge crossings, whether or not there is a way that we could have gone in cheaper with that and engaged Army engineers as a training exercise. What could we do to make this rail trail cheaper? And we keep getting told there's nothing that we can do to make it cheaper. I'm going to support the report today because I think doing something is more important than us just continuously doing nothing. It's driving me nuts that this report was first raised by then Mayor Power when I first got into council, and 5 years later we're still here talking about the rail trail. So I'd rather we just start proceeding with it and then we can go hunting for funding while we're doing it. I'm not satisfied that sometimes we get value for money when it comes to some of our prices on our local infrastructure buys, but it is what it is. Now, the actual income generated from rail trails around Australia is approximately $862 million a year. If we get a rail trail and some local businesses are generated by this and get some income, that's a great thing. More jobs. Let's just proceed with it. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Mayor Raven.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Through you, I put my hand up when Councillor Bradley suggested writing to the Minister. We met with the Minister and raised this with him directly. At the time, he encouraged department staff to consider funding us through the active transport funding that Councillor Stemp was referring to. They said they were interested, but the challenge is, while it's called a rail trail, they only want to fund it through a non-existent rail trail budget. So the strategy, which I support wholly from the staff and from Councillor St Ledger, of delivering it in stages, so the stage that is left is suspiciously the stage closest to the brand new upgrade of the Bethania train station. So if there was anything that you needed active transport funding for, it would be to get from the train station to the rail trail to complete that link. So there's a very strategic reason for breaking this up, but exactly as Councillor Lane said, we've just got to start constructing, because every month that goes by, construction costs go up. So we get less and less bang for buck the longer that we wait to deliver it. So let's get in, get something delivered. I'm sure the people of Palm Lakes will be devastated that there won't be anything going through their backyards for another year or two until we can secure that funding. But we've got to make sure that when we do get to them, we do it properly. And in the meantime, we've just got to start work so that we don't keep chasing good money after bad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll chime in on the back of that. That we want to eventually get the whole thing completed. The state are building a big, shiny, fast rail network. They're going to want a connection coming back out of that. So that might just hopefully force their hand a little bit more in that funding model. The usage of it, right through from where it is now, the usage is, I would agree, is predominantly recreational. But within the last 18 months, even the small improvements to footpath networks around Logan Village has enabled young people to be able to use that 3 kilometres of rail trail that's there to travel from Yarrabilba, cross at the lights, now have a footpath network connection to the local King's College, so they can travel, actually active travel to and from school safely. We can open that up from Logan Village all the way through to Waterford. Also then have that footpath connection through to Bethania, which enables local business, local community members to be able to do that, which takes a little bit of pressure off our road. And every school principal I talk to wants to encourage more active travel. I think it's something that the community wants and needs, so to be able to provide a safe network for people to do that and do it, as the Mayor says very often, the cheapest time to build something is now. The longer we put this off and don't pull the trigger on it, there's funding sitting there that we've allocated, that's gone through, it's available. I think it's a great thing for the entire community, and we just ensure that we don't stop and rest on our laurels once stage 1's done. We continue to go to make sure we can get stage 2 and get it built correctly, safely, and ensure that there's no, we've worked really hard as a collective to build a positive relationship with the residents that are part of the community down there at Palm Lakes, and we make sure we deliver that to the standard that was discussed. Any more questions on that one? Let's move it. Got a recommendation on the board. I'll give you a second to have a read through it. Councillor Jackson's moved that. Can I have a seconder? Mayor Raven, all those in favour? That has been carried. We'll just go around the room to how we voted.
Abstain.
Let's get cracking. 4.
4.
4.
Against.
4.
4.
4.
And I was 4. Does anyone now have any general business for Manager Paul Wilson? Councillor Lane.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So there's 2 items that I would like to raise today. The first is the traffic calming devices that were installed in Ariel Avenue, Lingrove Street, Barden Road, and Dart Avenue and Beta Avenue. A response was, "Hi Teresa, I thought I'd give you feedback on the traffic calming. It has been so peaceful with no speeding cars. We feel safer in our local streets. We don't have hooning, especially at all hours of the night. Have spoken to other residents and they are really happy as well." And another one is from a gentleman who was advocating for the reduction of speed along Barden Road. And he said, "Thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to sleep at night. It has been amazing. I can go in and out of my yard safely now without fear of being rear-ended, which I have had happen twice. And it is amazing change. People are using the 3rd Avenue extension the way it was meant to be used finally. So thank you very much for that. That was an amazing outcome for residents there. I've had a couple of tanty chucks from people that don't like that they can't rat run now, but you get that. The second thing is not so nice. I've got a resident at Glebe Place at Underwood, and a number of years ago he was told that he had to rebuild his retaining wall, which was falling down after he purchased his property. Council has a fence line along Beanley Road at Underwood, and it was the expectation that once he did his retaining wall and saved up for it because he was a young homeowner, that council would come in and build the noise barrier and reinstate it back to a really good condition. He has been going backwards and forwards, and I've been advocating on his behalf. I think council officers are absolutely lovely in dealing with it, but we are now several years later and he still has no surety of a back fence or a noise reduction fence. He has people throwing rubbish into his yard. He's had intruders into his yard, and he's just about had a gutful. He's a young homeowner. It's his first home, and this process has turned into a bit of a downer for him when it comes to home ownership. So I'm hoping that by bringing it up today that it will kickstart the building of that noise barrier back up, and that reinstatement will occur as quickly as possible. Do you want me to ask for? Oh, and I'll ask for a report on it, if that's all right. Yes. No, actually, I don't need a report. Just can you action it?
We will look into the matter and certainly come back and close out with you. Yes.
You'll come out and close out with me, and then you'll close out with the resident.
Yes, definitely.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. No more general business for Mr. Paul Wilson? I think yours, Councillor Bradley, will be in the next slide. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Paul. Does anyone have any general business for the General Manager of Transport and Delivery, Mr. Darryl Riley? Did you... Councillor Jackson.
Just want to give thanks to our open drain maintenance crews that have been doing a bunch of great work in Division 5. Crestmead Park had a lot of work done through it, clearing out rubbish, silting up and regrowing through those open drains, and various other locations around Div 5. Really appreciated all the work that our crews are doing constantly throughout the year to make sure our waterways are clear. Thank you.
On the back of that, I think Councillor Jackson, Andy Lee and Dave Schneider are absolute guns, and yeah, they do fantastic work across the city, their whole team. Councillor Bradley.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Chair. I want to first, if you could pass on sincere thanks, Mr Riley, to the staff involved for removing that unsafe light pole that fell down during our recent storm last week, and who would have thought a whole light pole would snap in half? But anyway, that is what actually happened. It was quite horrendous. Oh gosh, that'd be right. My screen has just frozen. So please just bear with me a minute. I'm going to ask for a GB item for Rochdale Road widening. I have already got the wording up here on the screen. Just as a background, in 2018, the Mayor and I were around, but no one else in this room as councillors were around, but there was a statement of intent report which listed Rochdale Road widening as number 7 on that list between Priestdale Road and Underwood Road, but it was subject to shared funding with Brisbane City Council. And Underwood Road, and that's why I asked earlier about Underwood Road, is listed as number 16. That's also shared with Brisbane City Council. So we have 5 schools within that area within a 2-kilometre radius, and 4 within Brisbane City Council. As you can imagine, that creates a huge congestion at various times during the day, and cars can only travel maybe 30 k's an hour during that time, and we are right on the cusp of a growth area in Brisbane City Council area, the Rochdale Development Area. Just recently, the state government in August funded 2 projects in Brisbane to facilitate the growth of that area. So we're at a bit of a stalemate with the progress of Rochdale Road. It's not listed in Brisbane City Council's LGIP, which they announced in June. And there are other roads that are great that are actually in that list, but Rochdale Road widening isn't. And it greatly impacts the people that I represent, and also anyone who's commuting between Brisbane and Logan, using this as an alternative route to the M1 or the Gateway motorway. Whenever there's an accident, it becomes horrendous. So I would like to, and like I said, we're at a bit of a stalemate with Brisbane City Council. So I just would like to ask for a report, as the wording says, be prepared and presented for a future City Infrastructure Committee meeting, providing a briefing and outlining the future of Rochdale Road, where it forms a boundary with Brisbane City Council in Rochdale South. So I'd like to move that, if I may.
Just, do you want to speak to that, Mayor Owen? Or? Yep, question? Yeah.
Thank you. So my question is to Councillor Bradley. So to what end? Like, what is the point of the report? Because it doesn't look like you're asking for funding, which is good because it's probably Brisbane's job to build most of it. So to what end are we doing this report?
What's the purpose? I recently met with the state government, and Mr Riley would know that there are other options available. So hopefully this report will list that.
For funding?
Who knows? I don't know. I can't dictate what the report will say, but it will. The intent is to fish out what other options there are. And like I said, the state government, when I met with them, they have indicated some other options to go forward.
What were those options?
I can't say that publicly here in this forum, but I'm happy to talk to you privately about it.
That's okay. So, but they won't be in that report either if they're confidential?
No, they could potentially be in that report.
So the reason I ask is because that the report you're asking for is really vague, which means you're probably not going to get the outcome you want unless you sharpen it up to actually ask for what you want out of it, because that's what the future is probably going to say what you just said, that it's reached an impasse, it's Brisbane's responsibility, and we don't have any money to fund it because it's not in our LGIP. So how do we make it so that that report can achieve the outcome you want? Because at the moment...
I've spoken to Mr Riley, and this is about what I've just said publicly, which I can't talk about, and he is aware of the options.
So you've spoken to Mr Riley, he's aware of what you want, but you don't want to put it in
I
the...
can't put it in, it's in the public domain, I can't. And I can't dictate what the officers are going to come back with.
Could you at least indicate that you want like information about the state government's options, so it refines it that far? Because at the moment...
Happy to do that, yeah?
Yeah, because at the moment it's not really...
Happy
it's
to
just
do that?
really
Happy
vague.
to amend
'Cause-
it to reflect that?
Because and the reason I ask is because reports cost money, and they cost a lot more than just doing a briefing note and sending it through to you. So if we're going to put something in it, it's got to have an outcome. There's no point just getting a report and slapping it down on the table and going, there's a report,
Yeah.
without a benefit. So, so if there's a purpose, then let's get to that purpose. Because otherwise, we've seen it in the past, we've asked for reports and we get a report that comes back that doesn't achieve the goal the council wanted, and then it is literally just a waste of time and money. And this year in particular, I'm mindful that we've asked the organisation to find materials and employment savings. And so when we ask them to do extra work, we've got to make sure it's got a really clear purpose, because just asking them to do work and then not getting the outcome we want is a waste of resources. And it's also doesn't help you. It sounds like
Can you suggest some wording there?
well, no, it's your report. And you know the thing that you can't say, but usually there's a way to point to it without actually saying what it is. So maybe you could help them.
Including options with the state government?
Funding, is it? Because I assume it's money that we're looking for, right? That's what the impasse is.
So just to make the changes, the team just let me, we'll need to second that, and then Mayor Raven can foreshadow an amendment.
I don't want to amend it because it's not my report. And I don't know what
I'm happy to amend it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to amend it, but
It sounds like
If
Councillor Bradley's keen.
if the officers can suggest where to actually including state government funding.
So we'll just need to move and second
Or
it,
state
and
government
then,
options or whatever.
then we can amend it from there.
The mover can amend the motion, can't they?
There's 3 meeting team people up here and 1 mayor. I'm outnumbered, so
That's okay,
we need to
mate.
be
I appreciate
seconded
that.
and then amended from there. So seconded by Councillor Jackson, and Councillor Bradley can now make her amendments.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Can the
No,
officers
just
please
opening
suggest
up
where
discussion.
the appropriate wording would be placed?
So the goal, I find it's easier to write a rec when we've got the goal in mind. So the goal is to get it built, right?
Oh, ultimately,
That's the
yes.
goal, right? And at the
And it
moment,
may not happen for a while.
appreciate that, but that's the end goal is to get it built. So, and at the moment, there's an impasse, like there's something stopping it getting built, and you want the report to identify that something and provide solutions. Is that fair, without being too
Yep,
specific?
yep.
So if it said something along the lines of identify the barriers,
Or the options,
yeah,
or,
we want to
potential
identify
options.
we want to know what's stopping it, so we
Yeah.
can work on that. Because if it's Brisbane City Council waiting for a whole bunch of infrastructure charges, then we should know that, because then we know that we can keep an eye on their development and see how quickly they collect those infrastructure charges, then start pestering them, right? So yeah, understanding what the barriers to it getting built are, or getting funded, because that's probably what's stopping it getting built, realistically. And then, are there any other roads? Because they closed a road along there to public traffic, didn't they? Because the road that did duplicate
Road.
this, yeah,
Yep,
School Road,
School
that's the
Road.
name. Thank you, Councillor Bradley. And now it's only for buses. So do they, and I assume Brisbane did that as part of the metro stuff, is that right?
No, it was TMR.
It was TMR, okay. And so is Rochedale Road the only option, or do they have plans
Yeah,
to open an
Rochedale.
alternative up?
Gardner Road will be done at some stage.
And does that run, sorry, I don't know what that will.
Almost parallel.
Almost parallel, so it could help?
It could help a bit, yeah.
So do you want to include
The report
that?
will probably highlight that.
Or should we include it though, so that it does highlight it? Future of
Probably
Rochedale
not,
Road
the
and Gardner?
officers would know that.
Okay. Darryl, are you aware of the Gardner Road aspect so that you can include that? Would you include that in this report is probably a better question.
We would include Gardner Road in that report. We would include information that we know about Brisbane City Council's local government infrastructure plan too. So
Yeah.
there are other roads within that precinct. Gardner Road, I believe, and I'm not good on the names there, I believe Gardner Road is the one that runs parallel to Rochedale Road and will create a new connection to Underwood Road, which will create a parallel corridor. There are upgrades, however, within that precinct which run in an east-west direction as well, so we would bring that information back.
And is that all on the Brisbane side?
It's all on the Brisbane side.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to understand what Brisbane's doing to help the traffic that their development is essentially causing
Yes.
us. Cool.
We would also bring back information around the status of that corridor, where the boundary sits between the two local governments and what the implications of that are for us and for them.
And I know it's hard to say beforehand, but like, how much work is there? And like, do you already know all this information? We're just going to bang together a report and present it, or is there?
We would know a reasonable amount of that information, but there will be some research that we will need to do into that. So there would be a few days work in it for somebody, yes.
And so, again, just to close with Councillor Bradley, so the point is to find out what's stopping this getting built and get some kind of indication of how we could help remove those barriers.
We
whether
can't
that's-
move forward unless we do this.
Okay, and that's the reason for the report, is to identify the barriers and potential solutions to
Yep.
removing those barriers. So my only, and then advocacy is the next step, I'm
Yep.
guessing, to both Brisbane and the state. Okay, and then my only concern, and I have no problems with any of that, that sounds good, and I know that people in Division 1 are not happy with the traffic on Rochedale Road, I hear it too. So my only concern is if we start, like, because we could get all that information and you and I could go and advocate through different channels, through both state and Brisbane, to achieve the outcome for Division 1 residents and everyone else who uses that road, because it's not just them.
No, we need a council resolution.
How come?
We need a report to highlight all this and a council resolution. We won't be able to progress any further without it.
How come?
We need a decision of council.
To advocate.
No, to actually have it all documented. We need it.
So this is my confusion, and that's what my look was. I'm confused about why we need a resolution of council to either advocate or to something. Like,
We need a
that's-
decision of council to progress it further.
But to do what? Sorry to be a pest on this, but to do what? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because
I'm-
otherwise, everyone brings up
I'm not
reports.
sure what the issue is with working together to get an outcome.
Oh, I'm all down with working together to get an outcome. Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. My concern is that you start doing a report when you don't necessarily need one. If we do need one, I'd love to know what we need it for. And because otherwise, then Councillor Jeremiah will sit there and say, I want a report for Parkbridge Road and why it hasn't been done quicker. And Councillor Wilcox will say, I want a report for Teviot Road and why it hasn't been done quicker. And Councillor Jackson will say, 3rd Avenue or Bumstead. We'll all have those roads, right? So the issue then is that the staff spend a lot of time doing reports that aren't needed, but do provide a nice piece of paper that people can point to. And so if we could just get on and do what we want to achieve, which is understand the differences, understand the obstacles, identify solutions and advocate, then I don't understand why we need a council rec to do that, but I'm in the officer's hands. If you think we need one and that's what you've advised Councillor Bradley, fair enough, then we can do that. But I just don't understand what we need, unless we're spending money. If we're spending money, then we need, but that's not what that report says, what that recommendation says at the moment.
I'll go to Councillor Lane and then come back.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. I'd love to defer this to council so that I have time to speak to Director Riley about what this is about offline and out of the public eye. I'm sure other councillors are curious as well. That just enables us to make a better decision, and it might give some time to refine that as well.
From what I'm hearing in the room from the Mayor as well, it's more just getting this narrowed down to exactly what Councillor Bradley wants for the outcome of the report. Is that?
Yeah, and making sure, like, and if we need a report, like, yeah, the purpose of it, and if we do need a council resolution for something, then let's do it. I just don't, my understanding is what you need resolutions for are when council is going to spend money, undertake a project, deploy resources, and it doesn't sound like that's what you're asking from this, Councillor Bradley. You're asking for information, which we already have the power to get advice on, and then we can just start advocating straight away. But if there's something else I'm missing, I'm open to being told.
Mr. Mayor, I've tried to talk to you before today, and the people I represent have voted me in on this very issue. So if I can't stand here today and talk about an issue they've voted me in on and advocate for them, then what is the purpose of me being here? So, like I said, there is confidential stuff that I cannot talk to you about openly. Happy to talk to you privately about it, which I did attempt to do, and happy to talk to anyone else who's curious, but we need a council resolution to move forward. We cannot move forward unless we have that.
Councillor Jackson.
Who needs the resolution? Do we need the resolution? Does another body need the resolution? Who needs it?
My apologies, that was still on. Through you, Mr. Chair. The report that we would bring back would outline what we know about the road. It would bring back what we know about the program of works with other tiers of government and responsibilities in regards to that. At this point in time, I don't envisage the report would bring back a resolution or a proposed recommendation which would talk about what that funding commitment is. It can only talk to what we know. I would have assumed then that that would be in council's hands to determine what it wants to do in an advocacy space.
So a resolution is to act, right? But this is a request for information. So we're not really looking for a resolution. We're asking for some specific information so that it's on the record. Could I ask you that, Lisa? So we're trying to get something on the record. And I think the Mayor's leading in the right direction on trying to get that really clear. I think he's on your side. I don't think he's against this. So sorry to speak on your behalf. So I think deferring it is probably the good choice at this point. That's where I would go, so we can get clarity to be able to vote on it.
Councillor Murphy.
Through the chair, Councillor Bradley, just a question. So this is just like having a site development plan ready so that you can go and source any amount of funding that is out there, either state or federal?
We already have the concept plan, but I need a council resolution to progress any further.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need.
Mayor Raven, did you have something else to add?
Thank you. So just want to be really clear that very happy to support Councillor Bradley's advocacy on this. It's an important issue for her area, and I'm not trying to stop her from doing that in any way, shape or form. I'm also not trying, I also though don't want to create reports purely for political purposes. So if the point is to advocate, we don't need a council resolution to advocate. You could actually just do a GB saying the Mayor should advocate with Councillor Bradley on this matter in line with the information we've already got. Because you don't need a big report, you can just give us permission. Is that what you're seeking? Permission to advocate. Thank you. So that's why I was asking, what is the goal? And if the goal is official advocacy so that you can formally approach the state and say you've got the support of council to advocate for this, great. We used to have an advocacy list. We don't really have that anymore. We have some really old priorities that I've been working through the advocacy team to see which ones are up and which ones aren't, because it's a bit of a mess at the moment because just historically it hasn't been worked on for a while. And this could definitely be added to that list. There will be a report at some point in the future around that entire list. But in the meantime, I've got no problem whatsoever, like with Councillor Bradley's permission as the mover, to amend it so that it says that Councillor Bradley or that Mayor Raven and Councillor Bradley engage with the state government, Brisbane City Council, to advocate for the funding of Rochedale Road where it forms the boundary of Brisbane City and Rochedale South. Would that achieve your outcome? Yeah, that's why I was trying to go, what is the goal? Because if the goal is advocacy, we can do that right now. Because we don't need to spend money, so we can do it in a GB. We're not changing a policy, so we can do it in a GB. So and then you don't need to bring back another report. We can just start tomorrow. Well, we can start on Wednesday when we endorse it through council.
So, Mr. Mayor, by the sounds of that, you're more than happy to work with Councillor Bradley and advocate for this for our residents, which is the exact outcome you're after, Councillor Bradley?
Through the chair, I still need a resolution. So this is the problem. I need a council resolution.
To advocate.
But you no longer require the report, is that right?
I believe for GB, you have to actually ask for a report. You can't actually ask for a resolution.
Let's ask Mark.
Mark, we'll
Call a
welcome
friend.
you to the party, my friend.
Yes, Chair. Can you just pose your question to me and what you specifically want the advice on?
Mr. Mayor.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Bradley's understanding is that for GB, you must call for a report in order to get a resolution to do something later. Whether that's, and from the sounds of it, the end goal of that is to advocate to other levels of government and other councils. My question, I guess, is that correct, Councillor Bradley? Have I summarised that right? So my question is, can we just skip the report part and just go straight to using GB to say that Councillor Bradley and I can advocate to other levels of government and Brisbane City Council on this matter?
Through the Chair, look, a report wouldn't be required to advocate for something, so it's not mandatory for a report to be prepared for that.
This is a council resolution, isn't it? Isn't? Sorry. We can defer and discuss it
Councillor
offline.
Bradley, would you be happy with deferring this to ordinary council and sharpening that motion up and bringing it back next week?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Riley is about to say something, I believe.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I probably wanted to ask a question of Mark too, because I didn't quite understand. I understood the concept that the Mayor and the councillor could advocate a matter, which is fine. The Division 1 councillor is requesting that that advocacy be, I guess, reinforced with a resolution from council to say that they're endorsed to undertake that advocacy. My question, I think, which was the one that the Mayor was trying to pose, is can a GB item today be written to give that endorsement from council to do that advocacy, or to actually get to that point, does there have to be a report come forward with that as a recommendation attached to it?
In relation to providing a resolution, a report would be required, but in terms of a report being written by council officers, there wouldn't be an investigation required into the issue. So I know there's been debate in terms of, what work would be required to present the report. There wouldn't need to be an investigation to it, just need to simply be a report which would come to council for consideration to then adopt the motion.
To that extent, if I can, I guess, offer a position around that, rather than requesting that report come forward, we could just request that a report come forward in regards to options for advocacy in respect to the Rochdale Road, which would then be a lot simpler report, which could have a recommendation then to the extent of the Mayor and the Division 1 Council being able to advocate.
Mayor Raven.
Sorry. So if it's a really simple report, is there anything stopping us from presenting a council report next round? So we just vote on it, not next round, like next week, we just vote on it? If it's a really easy report, because council reports haven't closed yet. Yeah.
We could bring that as a late report.
Would you be comfortable with that, Councillor Bradley? Because then you've got a resolution, bang, we can just start.
Look at that. It's Christmas time. Everyone's happy. Yeah. The girls are just working on that up here. Councillor Bradley?
Through the chair, do I have to ask for a late report or that'll just happen?
We will bring a late report.
can I just get you to through the mic, please, Councillor
I'll
Bradley?
withdraw that. Thank you.
So Councillor Bradley's withdrawn that motion for today. Is there any other GB? That being done, I want to wish our infrastructure chair, Scotty, the best of luck with his surgery that's coming up. Once again, he's thrown me in at the last minute to run the second longest infrastructure meeting for the year. But we appreciate you. Thank you very much. We call the meeting now closed at 11:42 and city governance will commence at 11:53.